That's enough excitement for one day, Monsieur Marquet. What are you doing here?
Talking to this patient, of course.
Monsieur Marquet is my patient. If Herr Hagenmeyer was to hear that...
Okay, I'm going. I'd learned all I could from Marquet anyhow.
Ah, there you are, sir. I was just coming to look for you. I finished with your pressure gauge.
Thanks, Bunny.
What's that noise? It sounds as if someone's having a cardiac arrest.
It's all right. The doctor's in there with him.
Are you sure he was a doctor?
Oui, monsieur. He showed me his ID. It was Dr. Braille.
There's no Dr. Braille working here.
It's one of the
He's an
assassins.
imposter! The door's locked. Help me, officer.
Uh-oh.
Stand back, monsieur.
Monsieur. Shoot the lock, okay? Templars, assassins, and white coats. Now we know where Ubisoft got it from. Back in Nico's apartment.
Hello, Georges.
Let's take another look at the manuscript.
Ah, pants! And there's no way of leaving.
There's a guy with a sword and a bull. Between them is a gem supported by a tripod.
I wish there was a way to leave early, ahead of time, but no, you got to go through all of these.
Look at...
There's
But
the night through my... I found Jacques Marquet.
Did he talk?
Yeah, he talked. For the very last time.
dun dun dun.
He's dead.
Yeah. Killed in cold blood by a bogus doctor.
Who would
That's
pretend to be a
despicable.
doctor?
What kind of guy would pass himself off as a doctor and take advantage of a dying man? Was it Khan?
No, I don't know who he was, but it certainly wasn't Khan. He got away, out the window.
Right, the Hashashin.
Have you ever heard of the Hashiashin?
No.
Marquet said that they were his biggest enemy.
His biggest enemy was the bogus doctor.
Don't remind me. That guy was evil. He had wild, staring eyes like a dead fish. I'll never trust a doctor again.
Right. The gem? Have I shown her the gem?
Do you want to look after the gem?
No, Georges. I'd be too tempted to sell it.
Do you
Come!
think the assassin was responsible for killing Marquet?
I don't think so. He could have finished him off the first time. Besides, Marquet would have recognized him.
He was pumped to the gills with sedatives. He wouldn't have recognized the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse unless they'd introduced themselves.
Right, so I think there's nothing else to really talk about, is there?
I guess I'd better go back and talk to that weirdo.
Which one? Rousseau or Sergeant Mou? Oh, but you're referring to Andre.
I'll let you work it out.
Who's Andre? Legitimately, I've forgotten at this point. We need to get the tripod, don't we? Before it gets nicked by... Were they Flap and Guido? Oh, hello. A new person, eh?
He was a thin-faced, pallid guy with a questionable taste in outlandish clothes. My mother used to dress like that. I beg your pardon. Are you André Lobineau?
Ah, right.
That's me. You want my autograph?
No. I was told you may be able to help me.
Help?
My name is George Stobart. I'd like your professional opinion.
Well, okay. Shoot.
Does the name Montfaucon mean anything to you?
Sure. It was the most grisly spectacle in Paris until the Revolution.
A public toilet?
Montfaucon was the place of execution for many thousands. A dark
Eek.
temple of death, with row upon row of arches, each one framing a grim exhibit. Scores of rotting corpses swung on creaking rope, while the crows devoured their flesh.
That explains the image of the hanged man. I found a reference to Montfaucon in Ireland, in a village called Lochmarn.
Lochmarn? That's where Pegram was digging.
That's right. He'd left the excavation before I arrived.
Okay, but you know about Pegram.
Do you know Pegram well?
Not really. I met him at a conference. I would have liked to talk to him in depth, but I didn't have time.
When was this?
Oh, back in the summer, July, I think.
Ask about... Ooh, we can ask more about Montfaucon.
Where was the site of Montfaucon?
To the northeast, near the Canal Saint-Martin, but there's nothing there now. The old gibbet was torn down during the Revolution.
We can go there later. The... Hashashin.
Have you ever heard of the Hashashin?
Why, yes, it was a radical Muslim sect whose name became synonymous with murder. It was formed in 11th century Persia, shortly before the Crusades.
At roughly the same time as the Templars.
Yes, they gave a new word to our language, Assassini, the assassins.
Yes.
How did the assassins get their name?
From
took
the legends
hashish.
surrounding the secrets of their initiation rites. A young man who sought to join the sect was given hashish until he drifted into dreams. He awoke to find himself in a fabulous garden with everything he could wish for. The freshest water, the most delicious food, the choicest hash, and the most delectable women imaginable.
Cool. Do you have the address?
I haven't finished the story. There was a price to pay for this taste of paradise.
Wouldn't you just know it?
The young man would wake the next day to find himself back in the real world. He was told that he'd been given a glimpse of the heaven reserved for holy martyrs. A heaven he would enjoy for eternity if he was willing to join the Hashashin.
Right.
How did the assassins operate?
They stabbed people.
Well, as I explained, the new recruits would be only too willing to die for the cause. They'd be instructed in the use of the dagger, poisons, and disguise. Then, the Grand Master of the sect would name an enemy of Allah.
And they'd stop at nothing to eliminate that enemy.
You got it. They were fearless and deadly.
Does the cult of the assassins still exist?
Take a look around at the world today. You tell me.
Tripod. Let's ask about the tripod.
I think you ought to know that the tripod is going to be stolen.
The Lochman tripod? No.
It's true. I can give you a description of the thieves.
Before the supposed event has taken place?
I heard them planning the raid.
They're wasting their time. The tripod is protected by a state-of-the-art alarm system.
Well, don't say I didn't warn you.
What is this alarm system?
Why don't you loan the tripod to me for safekeeping?
That'll
Because
work.
I'd never see it again.
Well, don't you trust me?
It's not a question of trust, George. That tripod is hundreds of years old and extremely fragile.
I get your point.
The manuscript.
I'd like your opinion on a medieval manuscript.
Vraiment? Do you have it with you?
No, it's too fragile. And besides, there are certain people who'd stop at nothing to get their hands on it.
Intriguing. Do you have a copy of the text?
There isn't much, only a few Latin phrases. I was kind of hoping you'd help decipher the pictures.
Without seeing the manuscript, that's a tall order.
Just tell me one thing. What does the image of two men riding on the same horse suggest to you?
The Knights Templar. Does the Templar seal appear on this manuscript? I'd love to see that for myself.
Yes.
Can you tell me anything about the Knights Templar?
I sure can, Georgie. Soldiers, diplomats, mercenaries, monks, bankers, you name it, the Templars fit the bill.
Heroes,
the greatest
villains.
fighting force in Christendom, the militia of Christ.
Jeez.
Yes. Him.
How did the Templars get their name?
From the building in which they set up their headquarters. The King of Jerusalem gave them part of a mosque on the Temple Mount. It was said to have been the site of the original Temple of Solomon. The order became known first as the Knights of the Temple, and later as the Knights Templar.
You're a mine of information, Andre.
Glad to be of help,
It's
Georgie.
almost like he's a historian.
How come the Templars became so wealthy?
There was a constant stream of new recruits to their ranks, many from noble families. They were required to swear a sacred oath of poverty, chastity, and obedience. So, their money, goods, and lands were donated to the order. The Templars soon held land in France, Scotland, England, Spain, most of Europe, in fact. The poor Knights of Christ became the wealthiest power in Christendom.
Right, let's ask more questions.
Is it true the treasure of the Knights Templar was never found?
Who knows? So little knowledge of what really happened remains. Or if it does, the truth has never been made public.
Is that what we're looking
What
for
do
in
you
this
mean by
game?
that?
The Templars have attained mythological status, like the King Arthur of the Britons. There are people even now who say the Templars still exist.
Do you think that's likely?
No, not for a minute.
Then yet the myths do say that King Arthur is still around somewhere, sleeping, waiting for a time when he will save all of Britain. Who knows? Who knows indeed. Nico.
The manuscript is being looked after by a friend.
In Paris?
Yeah, not far from here, in fact.
Well, just give me the address and I'll come round and take a look.
I'm not so sure about that. Maybe I should check with her first.
A female friend?
Yeah, she's a woman.
Okay, should I go?
This friend who has the manuscript,
Oui, the anonymous girlfriend.
she lives at 361 Rue Jarry.
Ah, I know it well. I'll drop by. Just as soon as I can.
Yeah, I probably could have actually checked, I suppose. Show the gem? Not sure. Yes.
What do you make of this?
It's the biggest gemstone I've ever seen. Where did you get it?
From Professor Pegram's messenger boy.
Did Pegram find this on his dig?
Yeah, the site where this was found was a Templar castle. Do you think it could be part of the Templar treasure?
No, I shouldn't think so. You're not one of those crazies who think the Templars still exist, are you?
Well, I try to keep an open mind on the matter.
Ooh.
Does the guy in this photograph look familiar to you?
No.
Okay, that was simple.
Thanks for your help, Andre.
You're welcome.
Fitzgerald, got the gem. Okay, thought I was some sort of assassin. Seems someone is trying to stop him reforging a sword. What? Okay. So those two thugs would try to steal the tripod. Klausner went to Syria. Wow, that Lobino guy is such a jerk. Look at me. Look how much I know about the Knights Templar. I guess he did know about the Hashashin, and he knew about Montfaucon, where I need to head. Is that where I need to go? Must be, I suppose.
I once read a list of low-stress jobs. It didn't include police work. Obviously, this guy hadn't read the same list. Excuse me, officer. Shouldn't you be off directing traffic or something?
You have seen the Parisian traffic, no?
Yeah, so?
I could direct the traffic. The most dangerous, the east side of Rome. Or I can sit here and enjoy the sun, the architecture, and the Sauvignon. Which would you choose?
Yeah, but I'm not a policeman. What happened to duty?
An excellent question, monsieur.
I'll see you around.
Oui, monsieur. I'll be there.
Oh, that's a shadow. I think that was like a pool. Are we going into the sewers again?
In the middle of the square was a manhole. I wondered if there might be something relevant beneath street level.
Let's have a look.
In French, English, and German it read, "In 1312, Pope Clement V dissolved the knightly order of the Templars and excommunicated its members on charges of heresy. In the following 2 years, many of the knights were hanged on this site. Their Grand Master, Jacques de Molay, was burnt at the stake on an island in the Seine."
Eep. So we can go up, or we can... We'll do this little wee bit of area first, shall we?
Hey, you! What do you think you are doing? Leave that cover alone. Now.
Okay.
Sorry, no harm intended.
You stay away from that.
Right, well, we'll see if there's someone to hit up here then. Oh, we're in the church.
A row of old pews, beautifully carved and glowing with polish. I thought of all the people who must have sat here over the decades. All those Parisian derrieres. firm buttocks of the young ladies,
George.
the flabby flesh of the old men. That wasn't a pleasing image, so I went back to the young ladies. Whoa! I didn't have time to sit around.
Well, I was hoping maybe we'd find something. Oh, are we gonna like come out of there, or we probably need to do something to get rid of him? But I don't know. Yeah, so you've still got that there.
A knight, there in the company of his fellows. Biblical references engraved into the tomb edge to guide his way to the next world. I guess. I didn't recognize the biblical story in it. I was a Sunday school dropout.
What was this bit of a story?
Somehow it looked more modern than its neighbor.
Well spotted there, George. Can't get anything past you.
A scroll was a symbol of scholarship. I knew that much. A scholarly knight. That rang a bell. A very Spanish bell.
Okay.
A statue of a knight holding a staff and a scroll.
Hello, music.
The statue had any secrets. It was concealing them pretty well. On the end of the staff was some kind of disc with a cross on it. Around the base of the disc was a hairline crack.
Okay.
Well, I could have just taken the end off the staff, but I wanted to be sure what I'd be getting out of vandalizing a church, other than deported.
Something to do with a Spanish knight, you said.
A stone knight lay in full stone armor, blank eyes looking at the ceiling. Carrying all that armor around must have been hard work.
Yes.
A stone knight lay at the end of a row of 4. I wondered if this guy had died in combat. I didn't recognize.
Right.
In comparison to its neighbor, it looked pretty plain.
Indeed. You're saying Spanish, but I don't know who.
I could see that what had at first seemed to be a fine engraved chasing on the scroll was actually writing.
Ooh.
Per disciplinum meum lux videbus. Sounds pretty familiar to me.
Okay, what?
Per disciplinum meum lux videbus. A bit of a stained glass window. Wow! Hoping for a big insight while squinting through a hunk of statuary had been pretty optimistic, I guess.
But it was something to do with light, wasn't it?